Hi, I'm Maggie.
Hi, I'm Mark, and this is
Spatial Report.
Welcome to the Esri Canada podcast that connects our user community with the latest and coolest trends in the world of ArcGIS. On today's show,
the Community Map of Canada is on a roll. We'll talk about how you can leverage our basemaps to access the most accurate and authoritative data.
Then our GeoGeek drops by to give us the deets on the latest and greatest in ArcGIS Enterprise.
And we wrap things up with our GIS Game of Thrones, M versus M.
Summer is here and GIS is hot. Grab some suntan lotion and let's go. Maggie Sampson, it is June. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. June's my favorite month. This is the month I was born.
Oh, what a celebration it must be, right?
Yeah, it always starts off great. June 1st, my birthday, set it up high and happy. Woo!
Woo! That's so cool. And this is so strange because I am sitting next to you. This is so odd.
I know. We're back together again. It's not the first time, but it doesn't happen very often.
It really doesn't happen often, and it's probably good for, the lawyers. They probably want to separate as much as possible.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mark, but we might...
The reason why we're here together is probably has something to do with what's making you Mappy, right?
Absolutely. I am so Mappy this week because we were all just together as a company, everyone technical at Esri Canada, for our annual Tech Trek. And I know it's not really the traditional making you Mappy, but I couldn't be happier than I am right now getting to spend a week with all of my colleagues and talking about maps and GIS. It's a pretty exciting time.
Yes, I'm sure you stayed up until 4 a.m. in the morning talking about maps.
No, I wasn't up that late. Come on. I'm getting old. Just till 2 this year.
Okay, there you go. Well, that is an incredible mapping. And it was great to be able to interact with our colleagues and be able to talk about what's new in GIS and just see some of the new things that are coming online. So it was a really great week.
Mm-hmm. It's always great to collaborate with everybody and really makes you remember how important the GIS community is.
Yes, it's even better when you don't have to do any presentations, right, Maggie?
Oh, I wouldn't know about that, but it was great to be able to share my knowledge with others too, Mark.
See, that's beautiful.
They just didn't need you because you don't know that much. I
know, that's also very true.
Okay, so we've talked enough about Tech Trek, but what's making you Mappy this week, Mark?
Okay, so this is a little bit weird, but I'm an avid reader of the ArcGIS blog. And this is the one that's created by Esri Inc. And they have a bunch of product team entries and blog posts talking about what's new with the software. But one caught my attention a few weeks ago, and it's entitled "Mind the Map: A New Design for the London Underground Map."
Oh, sounds exciting.
I know. So this is where I get into my inner nerd. I love transit maps. I think they are absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And Kenneth Field, who is the author of this blog post, he is a cartographer and geographer with Esri UK. And you may have heard of him before. He led the cartography MOOC.
Oh,
back in the past. Yeah. So back in 2019, he wrote a blog post about how he used ArcGIS Pro to reimagine the London Underground, the tube map, right? And because they added a new line recently, the Elizabeth line, he updated the map and he included a whole bunch of new enhancements to the map. But it was just a cool reminder for me about how transit maps are really important, right? You're trying to communicate a lot of important information to a lot of people and do it as simply as possible. Mm-hmm. And then, how these different lines connect and stations and, even the fine tune things like where to put the font and where to put the labels for all your stations and how they connect and all that kind of stuff. I just find it really fascinating and it kind of makes me remember how important design is and how important cartography is in our maps. And sometimes we forget about that. So it was a nice little reminder for me that paper maps and well, it's not really a map, it's more of a schematic, to be honest, but just in how important design is, how important wayfinding is. It just really it really made me happy being able to read that article. So we'll include the link for that on our website. You should check it out.
Sounds really good. I'll have to give it a read. I don't know if we can apply that so much to the Toronto subway map, but I'd love to see what that looks like. Thanks for recommending it.
You got it.
That's what's making us Mappy this week. But coming up next, we're going to go inside the Arc to talk about one of our favorite programs here at Esri Canada, the Community Map of Canada.
The Community Map of Canada is a significant initiative by Esri Canada that fosters community engagement and enhances the quality of mapping experiences, making it a source of great pride for all of us.
Today, we're joined by Amanda Hunter, a technical solutions specialist on the Community Map of Canada team, who's joining us today for a really important anniversary in the Community Maps. Thank you for joining us and celebrating the 500th publication of the base map.
Thanks for having me.
We're really excited to have you here today, but not everybody really knows about the Community Map of Canada. So maybe you could start us off by sort of telling us what it is and what are the main objectives of your team and what you're working on.
Sure. So the Community Map of Canada is a program hosted and facilitated by Esri Canada. And sort of the idea of it is to create a national base map of the entire country, which sources Canadian data to inform that base map. And we like to sort of sometimes think of it as like a little puzzle piece, and every community is that missing piece. And when we get all of the pieces together, we have a base map that the entire country can really make use of and utilize, and every piece is equally important as well. Nobody wants a puzzle with any missing pieces.
Nobody wants that missing piece of that puzzle. That is absolutely true. So I use the base map all the time, and there's lots of different types of data that's included in that base map. So, just for our listeners, what types of geographic data can contributors provide to the community map, and how frequently are they updated?
Well, that's a great question. So we have many different layers that you can contribute, and it includes core layers such as building footprints, roads, address points, and then it can kind of go into cadastral. It can go into your parks and your municipal boundaries. This is a sort of a program that you can also grow into as a municipality. So if you don't have certain layers, you don't have to worry. You can sort of add them later as you go. And the idea is obviously the more data that you contribute, the more beautiful your community ends up looking.
Hmm. And how often is that updated? Like, how often do you do the updates to the base map?
So all of our communities are essentially pinged daily for updates, and then those updates are published publicly to the base map essentially every 72 hours, which is an incredible frequency of updates. It's really quite powerful, and the result is really that the base map that you see is really an accurate representation of that community.
That's really frequent. That's really impressive. But with that kind of like high level of frequency, how do you, I know you mentioned accuracy, but how do you ensure that the data is accurate? Is that something that your team works on, or is that from the contributors? Like, how do you know that the quality of the data is like up to standard that's contributed?
Yeah, so all of that's a great question as well. All of the data that is contributed to the Community Map of Canada program is contributed exclusively from the authorities of that data. So this includes all levels of government, municipal, regional, counties, provinces, as well as Indigenous communities, as well as port and transit authorities and universities. And so, sort of the concept being that they are the ones that are the authorities of that data. And if any changes need to be made to that data, they are the ones that change the data. We don't actually make those changes ourselves, which results in sort of that integrity, that data integrity that is sort of on the authority to make those changes. However, because of the way that we are structured as a team, as a department, every community has a specific analyst as well as a few other supporting teammates that allow for any feedback to be really readily received. So if a municipality does have a question or does have feedback to ask the Community Map of Canada team, there are real people with real faces there to sort of respond and take that feedback and work together. But any changes that get made are those changes are made by the municipalities themselves or the governments themselves, not by the Community Map of Canada team.
Right, right. That makes a lot of sense. So there are a whole bunch of communities and organizations that participate in the community map at the moment, right? Um, I'm just curious, what are the benefits for those organizations and for those communities to be a part of the program?
So I think one of there's so many,
Yeah, I'm sure there
and
are.
and
Yeah.
and there's different benefits from first of all using the base map, and then there's also benefits to being part of the Community Map of Canada program. So as a product, the base map is first of all Canadian with Canadian content. So if you have to choose a base map, then it makes sense to be selecting a base map that is Canadian. But on top of that, if you are working with a team with multiple departments and you're sending out base maps to, let's say, your planning team, and they're making adjustments, and then perhaps you have duplication errors or you have inconsistencies across your departments. So this really clarifies your interdepartmental inconsistencies, and it kind of allows you to have this one foundational layer of truth. You have the one base map that everyone can jump off from, everyone can make use of, and everyone can trust because it's your data that's informing that base map. So that's kind of one major benefit. Obviously, there are also, since Esri Canada is the one that is hosting those data layers, you're also reducing your caching as well as your hosting credits.
Mhm.
So there are those kind of very direct benefits. But on the side of being part of the Community Map of Canada program, there are also benefits of being, first of all, linked to a community of over 400 communities right now.
Hmm.
And so the Community Map of Canada also really works hard to facilitate learning, better practices sharing, and events that are of benefit to its members. So we do often run these events that bring, let's say, thought leaders or people who have interesting things to say. We'll put them in front of our communities. We'll invite everyone to come, and then there's a great opportunity to sort of network with your GIS professionals from all over the country virtually, and share better practices, learn more. The Community Map of Canada team as well is more than happy to connect with solutions to our teams or to communities, depending on what new projects they would like to learn about, and then we are able to connect them to resources, to webinars, to whatever they need. So there's a lot of support with being part of this community, and we really like to highlight the aspect that the Community Map of Canada is first and foremost a community. So being
Hmm.
part of it, there is a lot of information sharing, and a lot of that kind of community networking building aspect to it as well.
Yeah, the community aspect sounds like a really great and sort of like maybe overlooked sometimes benefit of what you guys are doing. I know since we were just all together as in our GIS community at Esri Canada, you really benefit from having those connections with other people and being able to work with others. So it's really great to have that with the Community Map of Canada. And since we're talking about these benefits, I'm wondering if you could share any examples of any sort of success stories that you've seen for people who have, been participating in this program.
Absolutely. So I guess I'll kind of give a couple different use cases, and you can sort of pick and choose what you like. But
Hmm.
there's one community. I guess Fanshawe College is a great example, which is not our sort of universities and colleges are sort of not our most biggest contributors, but it's really important. So they contributed campus data to the Community Map of Canada that the municipalities did not have. And so when that data was represented on the base map, first of all, their campus security and campus planning were really kind of more properly encapsulated. So that resulted in their sort of their GIS and their mapping being a little bit more safer, as well as being more properly represented on the base map. So they were quite happy about that. Another really good example would be recently we had actually a guest speaker at one of our events, which is um, the community of Saint-Hyacinthe, which is in Quebec, and they were doing all PDF maps. And it was tedious and brutal. And,
Mhm.
they wanted to show their public maps that were representative of all the great work they're doing, but none of it was dynamic and none of it was really online. So when they started contributing to the Community Map of Canada, they went from sort of zero to hero in the sense they went from PDF to their web maps with the base map that actually is their community, and then they're able to sort of show their stakeholders and their public all of sort of the great work that they're doing from there. And then they built out a hub site with showing all of their maps, and it just kind of exploded from there. So they're sort of a little bit of a hero for us in the sense that they really kind of, once they were in, they just had so many more resources freed up, and they were able to do so much more once they didn't have to build and maintain a base map themselves.
I love hearing stories like that. People just discovering how you can take those PDF maps and being able to evolve it and put it on the web and take advantage of all that authoritative data. That's really incredible to hear. Um, so I'm really curious to know how you envision where the community map of Canada is going. So, do you have any indications in your mind of the long term goals? Where do you see this going in the long term?
Yeah, I think the idea here is that um, the community map of Canada is meant to be a map for for the people by the people. Not to
Yeah,
say it like
yeah.
that, but so it makes sense. In my opinion, sort of, it would be amazing to have the community map of Canada being the default base map that all Canadian communities or Canadian organizations are sort of choosing as their sort of starting point for the maps they're building out. It makes sense for them to do that, and it also makes sense for their communities to be actually accurately represented in whatever projects that they're doing. So, long-term goals are to sort of obviously have that kind of default there, that everyone is aware of, that these base maps actually exist, because that's usually one big hurdle. But then there are other sort of exciting little I guess, side side quests that we're on, one of them being, a more accessible base map, a lot more inclusive. Obviously, the inclusivity of the data is very important to us. I know that we would love to have more Indigenous communities being represented properly on the base maps with Indigenous syllabics, but also when we talk about accessibility, the idea of putting out, let's say, base map styles that are that are inclusive to those who have disabilities, or are not necessarily able to see different colors and things like that. So I know that overall, as a community, we're constantly, yes, trying to be more inclusive as well of everyone who can make use of the base map.
Sounds like a fantastic long-term goal, and I'm really excited to see as you guys keep progressing towards that. Really big things happening in the community map of Canada, and it's always exciting to see what you're doing next. For any of our listeners, though, who are not part of those about 400 contributors who are listening today, and they maybe want to get involved, what can they do to become a part of this program and to participate in the community map of Canada?
Yeah, all you have to do is call us,
Yeah.
reach out, and the sort of the process for kind of being included is that we love to have kind of conversations about what your needs are as a community, what you're struggling with, where we can sort of help you, and from there we essentially have sort of an onboarding process that involves meeting your analyst and consulting, and sort of sending the data at the end of the day. And I guess it's a sort of a there are a few different ways that you can kind of contribute data, whether it be REST services, or whether it be via your open data hub, or whether it be via sort of a map package. And we're all there to support that sort of process, myself included. And so the process is very easy. We really do try to emphasize the fact that even though we update our data every 72 hours, you don't have to necessarily update your data. But in sort of in keeping with this sort of this NG911 that's coming up, and all of these things, it makes sense for us to all be emphasizing frequency of updates and the accuracy of the data. And so being part of this program is meant to be very easy and very inclusive. And so we're here to support you in that 100%.
That's amazing, and yeah, and thank you for joining us for the conversation. I feel a lot more knowledge in the community map program. So we really appreciate your time. But we always like to wrap up our conversations by allowing you to share three takeaways about our conversation. So, what are three takeaways that our listeners should know about?
I would say that the Community Map of Canada is a real snapshot of Canadian communities in real time. And so we don't, so obviously being involved in it is a great way to kind of have a very accurate reflection of your community, but we don't change your data. And I know that a lot of communities that are a little bit uneasy about those kind of topics feel very assured with that fact coming up. And the second thing as well is that we don't make your data available for download. It is baked into our vector tiles. It's baked into our base map. It is there for everyone to use very, very easily. And we're here to sort of to listen as well to our communities as we go forward.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Amanda, for joining us today here on the Spatial Report podcast. And yeah, please discover more with our Community Map of Canada base map. Start using those in your maps.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Thank you very much. That was Amanda Hunter. She is a technical solution specialist with the Community Map of Canada program at Esri Canada, and she joined us today from Oakville, Ontario.
After this short break, we'll be back to dive into the latest release of ArcGIS Enterprise with our GeoGeek.
From navigating everyday obstacles to tackling the most pressing issues facing our world today, tune in to Geographical Thinking to discover how geospatial solutions can help solve problems and drive positive change. My name is Michelle Brake, and I'll be your guide as we explore stories, ideas, and conversations through the lens of geography. Listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform.
It's now time for the GeoGeeks, our regular segment where we bring on a subject matter expert to tell us what's noteworthy in one of our core ArcGIS products.
And we are excited to welcome back our colleague and teammate, Justin Broussard. He is a technical solution specialist, and for purposes of this pod, he's our ArcGIS Enterprise GeoGeek. Justin, welcome back to the pod.
Thank you. Glad to be back, guys. 11.3 just came out, so we got lots of stuff to talk about today. That'll be great.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being here with us. So like you just said, ArcGIS Enterprise 11.3 is out and people can start using it now. So I know there's a lot of new things that are in there. Could you maybe start us off with telling us some of the new features that are worth knowing about in this update?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, there's actually quite a bit, some more minor than others, obviously, right? But I'm going to start off with some stuff that was kind of integrated in ArcGIS Enterprise 11.2 and kind of how that feeds into ArcGIS Enterprise 11.3, right? So in 11.2, as we may or may not know, Map Viewer actually has the ability to now support analysis tools. So those things like geoprocessing tools, that type of stuff, you can actually run them directly in Map Viewer now, which is great. So you can kind of, if you don't really want to use ArcGIS Pro all the time, you may not necessarily have to based off the tools that are available in Map Viewer now. Just some other things worth noting. So in Enterprise 11.2 as well, the ArcGIS video server actually kind of came into play. So that kind of interlinks with ArcGIS Excalibur, which is one of our other applications, right, where you can import your videos and kind of get some snapshots or some more information, whether it's like drone footage, satellite imagery, whatever it may, or satellite videos. I mean, whatever it may be, you may be trying to import into that software. You can go ahead and use that. So that got introduced, and kind of coming into 11.3 for video server, some minor adjustments, just basically coming in and actually supporting more kind of file types, that type of stuff. So actually jumping back to our map viewer analysis tools, kind of forgot to mention this. So how does that actually link with ArcGIS Enterprise 11.3? So now we actually have the ability to have custom web tools, right? Which is going to be big. So we can basically come in and create our own scripts, right? Our own Python scripts, and basically have a whole process. So whatever it may be, in whether it's combining various tools or a single tool, whatever it may be, we can kind of integrate that and kind of publish it to our ArcGIS portal, and then go ahead and use it as another feature. And then just a couple final things. So the new field types, so the date only, timestamp offset, the big integer, all that was in beta in 11.2, now fully available in 11.3, and also in 11.3, the metadata editor is now also out of beta. So that's obviously another great function that kind of came into play. But one more thing kind of worth noting is the Living Atlas kind of update, we can call it. So you can actually go ahead and kind of schedule updates for your Living Atlas now. So this will kind of add, delete, remove any content, like older content that may be like deprecated from the Living Atlas, to kind of make that easier to navigate for you and your organization. So a lot kind of said there, but a couple things to give you guys kind of a sneak peek, I guess.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot in this release, which is very exciting. And I want to throw in one more because I'm an urban nerd. So I love that ArcGIS Urban is now available in Enterprise 11.3. So yeah, so I'm glad that that Enterprise users were able to use that app. All right, so you listed off a whole bunch of features, and a lot of them sound really cool, but come on, you have a favorite. So why don't you share what your favorite newest feature is in this new update?
Okay, so couple favorites. I mean, one of them I didn't necessarily mention, so that'll kind of be a bit of a sneak peek. It's more of a minor thing, but it's something big in my opinion. So I'll kind of start off with that. As we know, Web App Builder is slowly making its way out, and Experience Builder is coming in, just like the ArcMap, ArcGIS Pro scenario that's kind of currently happening. So in ArcGIS Enterprise 11.3, we do have some new Experience Builder widgets, which is going to be great. And these are going to keep getting added in throughout time, obviously. So in 11.4, there's most likely going to be some new ones. At this point, I believe most of them should be added in, because from the actual functionality matrix for Experience Builder, most of the stuff should be added in by now, but don't quote me on that. And yeah, as we go on, we might see some more of those. So going on to my major, or my most favorite major update, we can say from this, I guess, is going to be the custom web tools, right? I know I kind of mentioned that earlier, but that's definitely the key thing for me, because we can go ahead, like I said, we can create those Python scripts. So for example, if I have a layer of streams, for example, water streams somewhere in ArcGIS Pro, for example, or in ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Portal, for example, I can come in and basically write a script to run, say if I want to run an intersect and a buffer analysis for something, see how those two work together, and just kind of mainstream that workflow, right? So I just come in and it's going to bring up an interface after I've run the script, right? And I could just come in, plop in my layers, all my information, and then just go ahead and kind of run it like I would in ArcGIS Pro. So instead of basically coming in and running all those tools separately, it's a good way to basically simplify that workflow, right? And actually make it available in your portal, which is not something that was available before to its full extent, obviously, before ArcGIS Enterprise 11.2. So kind of seeing that slowly get integrated into ArcGIS Enterprise 11.3 is a lot. It's really good, to be honest, right? To help you out with your analysis workflows.
Absolutely. It sounds like it really helps to sort of expand what you can do in Enterprise. It sounds like a really exciting feature I'm sure people will use Definitely. A lot. As a person who doesn't really know anything about how that works and programming and anything like that, is there anything that you need, like especially require to get these custom tools working in your portal?
All right. So obviously you're going to need ArcGIS Enterprise 11.3. That's going to be step one. That's not going to be available at 11.2. So we can't really expect that, right? 11.2, like I said, you'll have those map viewer analysis tools. So if you just need those, that's great. But for the custom web tools, make sure we have 11.3. And after that, you just need a bit of coding knowledge. So the way it's going to work, essentially, you're basically going to write your Python script in ArcGIS Pro within a toolbox, and it's going to be stored within a toolbox, right? So you do have to have a bit of coding knowledge to some extent, right? I'm not actually personally sure if there's another way to do it outside of the code, but to my extent, I know that'll work for sure, right? From what I've tested out. So you can come in and kind of write your Python script, right? It'll be stored within the toolbox, and then you're just going to come in and you just got to obviously have the ability to come in and just publish to your portal. Okay. So your admin's going to want to make sure, obviously, that you just have the ability to do that. You have the correct user type, obviously. And then you can go ahead and just kind of save that and share that file directly into your ArcGIS portal, and then go ahead and use it in Map Viewer.
Oh, sounds pretty straightforward. So it's not as not as scary as I thought it might be, but
aside from the code, probably not. No.
Yeah. Just got to brush up on my coding knowledge. Well,
exactly.
Thanks so much for sharing what's new with Enterprise 11.3, Justin. It's great to have you on as always, and hopefully we'll be able to get you back on again soon.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me, guys.
That was Justin Broussard. He is a technical solution specialist with the technical marketing team here at Esri Canada, and he joined us from Bolton, Ontario. Bigger than the beef between Drake and Kendrick, it's Maggie versus Mark, and that's coming up next.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of M versus M, our GIS game show.
Very well read. Beautiful.
Yeah, I definitely know what that means.
Yeah. We're just dating ourselves here. It's great. All right, Maggie, you know how this works. If you get 3 answers right, you will not only have to not read the outro, you get to bask in glory. But if you get 3 wrong, it's outro time.
Yeah, I've got the thing ready to read. I'm not feeling confident today.
Well, because this is a huge moment in M versus M history, because we're going to bring back one of our favorites. We're bringing back Tool or Fool.
Ooh, I don't remember if I won this one last time, so.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Nice, I'm feeling good there. Let's do it. I know all the tools. Which software?
Oh, well, let me tell you. All right, so first of all, the game. Right. So I am going to go into a toolbox in our newest release of ArcGIS Pro 3.3, and I'm going to name a tool. If it's real, you're going to say it's a tool. Oh, no, you're a tool.
Oh, you're a tool. Okay.
And if it's not, if it's a fake, you're a fool.
Okay, I'll do my best.
You got it. All right. And today's toolbox is the ready-to-use toolbox.
Ooh, I
know.
don't know what's that in there at all, but that's exciting.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about it, okay? So the ready-to-use toolbox is actually just a series of ArcGIS online geoprocessing services that use the hosted data and the analysis capabilities of ArcGIS Online. So all you need to do when you run these tools is just provide some inputs, and then it does all the rest on ArcGIS Online.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, and the best story of this?
Yeah.
They don't cost credits. They're all free.
ArcGIS Online, no credits?
You can use ArcGIS Online data and services without spending a dime.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
It is. All right. And a hint for you, there are 2 tool sets in this toolbox, elevation and hydrology.
Okay. That's exciting.
So here come the tools. Are you ready for the first one?
Sure am.
Viewshed. Tool or fool?
Oof, that's tough because I know it is a tool, but I feel like it's already in ArcGIS Pro. I don't know. I'm going to say you're a tool.
You are indeed a tool, Viewshed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so if you're not aware, so all you need to do is input some observation points, and it's going to generate polygons of those visible areas from those points.
Wow, sounds a lot easier than the old tool that I remember. That's pretty good.
See, so you're on a roll. So 1 up for the mags. All right, next up, profile.
Man, this category is very difficult. They sound real. Yeah, you're a tool.
You are a tool profile. That is absolutely true.
Woo!
Yeah, so you input a line feature, and it's going to give you the elevation profile along that line.
Oh, pretty cool.
All right. Okay, so 2 up. This could be the quickest game show ever, but we'll continue. All right, next up, trace upstream.
Huh. You know what? You're a tool again. No! Is it trace downstream?
It is trace downstream.
No, come on! I knew that was a
Mark
tool.
is awesome. Yeah, so
okay.
trace downstream. It provides a path of that water will flow from a point.
I should have known.
it goes
Obviously,
downhill.
we don't care about upstream. I should have known it was downstream. Okay.
I love it. All right, 2-1. Summarize elevation.
Summarize elevation. That sounds like you're a fool.
Oh no, Maggie Sampson.
That's a
it
tool?
is.
That doesn't even sound like a real tool name. Okay.
So if you put in an input feature, it's going to generate a bunch of summary statistics, such as the maximum elevation, the minimum elevation, maximum slope, medium slope.
Well, sounds pretty cool. I didn't know about that tool for sure.
Yeah, I know. You blew it.
I know. This is tough now.
All right, so cliffhanger, 2-2. This is the clincher. Let's see what happens.
Oh, no.
Watershed.
Watershed in the toolbox called Watershed?
Well, the toolbox is ready to use.
Oh, hydrology.
And the hydrology is the tool set.
Tool set. Yes, you're a tool. No!
Yo, you're a tool.
Oh, okay. Nice. Good.
Watershed is indeed a tool. So it will calculate the upslope area from a point where water flows to, right? Makes sense.
Definitely makes
Creates
sense.
a watershed. Oh, man, come on.
I'm glad I didn't get my reading glasses out. Would have been a waste.
All right, so hang on here. Okay, we've got to stall. So as I load this up here. Oh, thanks. Too late now. Okay, fine. Okay. All right, Maggie, you win again, and you know what that means.
Yeah, you have to read the outro. Have fun, Mark.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Maggie Simpson. Good. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Spatial Report. Please check out our website at esri.ca/spatial report to learn more about the topics we covered today. We'll also post videos of our interview segments on the Esri Canada YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to our monthly Getting Technical newsletter that highlights all the news in our technology. This podcast is brought to you by Esri Canada, a technology company that empowers people and organizations by the science aware. Maggie Sampson, it's been a pleasure and honor to be sitting next to you these last few minutes.
As always, Mark, it is a pleasure, but especially so in person.
Oh, It's such a wonderful moment. All right. We'll see you separately next month. Bye.
Bye.